Okay, whenever you have a problem like problem 16 where two um, you're multiplying two things that both have two terms in them by each other. Basically, it's just a matter of, I'm going to write this as, we're just going to call this 1, we'll say 1 minus 2, and then 3 plus 4. So the way that works is you always take your first term here, right? And then your first term is going to get multiplied by both terms in there. So you would get 1 times 3, and then you would say plus 1 times 4. All right, and then you do the exact same thing with the second term. All right, and then that gets multiplied by both of those. So then you would have minus 2 times 3 minus 2 times 4. And the reason you have a minus is because that negative sign belongs to that 2. So it's multiplying by a positive 3 in this case, and then a positive 4 in this case. So that gives you your signs, and then you would simplify everything, and then if you can combine things, you combine things, all right? So that's kind of an example of how that works, okay? So when we do these problems right here, what we're looking at is applying that same process. So start with these two right here, okay? So you have 3 times the square root of 10 times 4 times the square root of 10. All right? Next, we are going to, I'm going to get rid of these. Next, we're going to multiply 3 times the square root of 10 times this term here, because that's the second term. So we have plus, because that's positive times the positive, 3 times the square root of 10 times 3 times the square root of 7. Let's change colors. Let's erase this. Oops, wrong thing. All right, now we are moving on to the second term in the first set of parentheses. So we have minus 6 times the square root of 7, and we're going to multiply that by the first term here. And that's times 4 times the square root of 10. And then we're going to do the same thing where we multiply this times that. And it's going to be minus again because that negative sign belongs to that 6 times the square root of 7. So times 3 times the square root of 7. So now it's just a matter of just multiply everything together and start simplifying. All right? So 3 times 4 is 12. Square root of 10 times square root of 10 is 100. Plus 3 times 3 is 9. Square root of 10 times square root of 7 is square root of 70. Negative 6 times 4, notice I included the negative sign, is negative 24. And then 7 times 10 is 70. That goes under the radical. And then negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. And negative 7 times negative 7 is square root of 49. Now it's just a matter of simplifying things that you can simplify. So square root of 100, going left to right, is 10. That simplifies, all right? These, I can't simplify the square root of 70, but I can combine this term and this term, all right, because they have the same radicand. So 9 minus 24 is minus 15 times the square root of 70. And I'm pretty sure I can't bust that down any bit because there's not really any square numbers you can pull out of that. And then this last one is 18, negative 18, times, well, the square root of 49 is 7. So 12 times 10 is 120, minus 15 times the square root of 70. And then 18 times 7 is going to give me negative 102, no, sorry. Negative 126. I'm going to check that real quick. Yep. All right, now you just combine what you can combine, and I can combine my whole numbers. I can combine this guy and this guy. So you get negative 6 minus 15 times the square root of 70. I can't combine any further because I would need a square root of 70 by that negative 6. So this is kind of a long problem, but it's really important to just kind of understand how to apply that distributive property and not get tripped up with it. So moving on.